Hey, Tommy from the Run Testers. I am down in Brighton, where I live, for the Brighton Half Marathon. I've done it a few times. It's a great day for it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not sure how I'm going to do. I'm not going to get a PB, but I'd like a good time. And I will be testing out the Saucony Endorphin Elite over half marathon distance. I've only done a 10k distance before, so I'll be seeing how it fares over half marathon. Right, let's jump into the race.
So I had planned to talk about the Brighton Half Marathon after I got back from the race, but when I got back yesterday, I pretty much passed out on the sofa straight away for reasons that I will explain very soon. But I have done the Brighton Half Marathon, I think twice before this. This is the third time I've done it. And the interesting thing about Brighton Half Marathon is that it's massively affected by the weather. When you run on the coast, the weather can change a run or a race massively. And the first time I did Brighton Half Marathon, it was in the middle of a storm and it was awful. The waves were flying everywhere. If you ran into the direction of the wind, you could barely move. And yeah, it was really tough and I got a really slow time the first time I did that. Second time I did it last year, it was actually quite nice. There was quite a bit of wind on the way back, but it didn't massively affect my time. So I ended up with a 1:28 the last time I did it. But Brighton Half Marathon isn't necessarily an easy half marathon to do because it does have a bit of a climb at the start, a bit of a hill. There's a bit of undulation over the first 5k. So it's not necessarily a fast race. It's not flat by any stretch of the imagination. And when that wind hits, it does take a bit of a toll on the speed that you're running at, especially if there's a storm, and then you just lose any speed whatsoever. But I came in to do the half marathon yesterday, and I wasn't planning on getting a PB or going really fast. I haven't trained really hard since Chicago last year. So in October last year, I did Chicago half marathon. Before then, I was really training. I was doing like 6 days a week. I was being properly coached, and I did a lot of distance. Recently, I have been doing a little bit of speed training at track with Brighton Phoenix. I have been doing a couple of longer runs, not a lot really, and I've only really been running 4 times a week. So I have no expectations at the moment of getting PBs or anything like that. I'm just enjoying running and trying to stay on top of the fitness that I gained last year. So when I came down today, I wasn't expecting a lot. I just wanted to see how fast I could go, and I set myself the sights of about 1:26 or 1:27 as the time for me finishing the half marathon. Now, when I started off, I decided to start at the pace that I did Pleshy Half Marathon in last year, and that was when I got a 1:23:35 half marathon time, and that was a massive PB for me. Before then, I'd got 1:27:20 or something like that. So we started off, and I decided to stick to the pace that I did Pleshy half at, which was about just under 4-minute kilometres, so about 3:55-minute kilometres I started off at. And I maintained that for the first 10k, and I got a pretty close time to like sort of 5k PBs over that first 5k. Managed to maintain it up until 10k, where I got a pretty good time. I was on about 38:50 for a 10k. Then I really started to struggle, and I had to push really hard to maintain it under that 4-minute kilometre mark. But I managed to keep going, and I managed to do it. A couple of kilometres I lost a little bit of speed, so I ended up getting about 4:10, 4:15, but managed to pull it back by the end. So the end of that race, I ended up with a 1:22:20, which was a 1:15 PB for me, which I was amazed with because I did not think I would get a PB in that race. It was hard, and it's probably one of the hardest I've ever pushed in a race, mainly because my friend Rich was also running just behind me, and he was trying to catch up with me the whole way. He actually overtook me in the last 2k, so that was a bit upsetting, but it didn't matter because I got a big PB anyway. So I was pretty pleased to get that PB. I wasn't expecting it, and I don't know where it came from, but massive thanks to Sussex Beacon for inviting me down to do the race. Big kudos to the guys over at Brighton Phoenix, because there are a lot of fast runners from Brighton Phoenix there, but also there are fast runners from all over the place. It was a really nice race. I love doing the Brighton Half Marathon. It's got such a really enjoyable vibe to it. It's ran by a charity. People love it. Spectators are great. And I always say that I prefer the Brighton Half Marathon to the marathon, because Brighton is a small city, and running along the coast, there's only so much coast you've got where there's lots going on. Once you get out of the main area of the city, you end up running on fields, down roads that there's not a lot of people down there. So it can be quite hard when you're running the marathon because it gets a bit quiet. Half marathon's perfect though, because you're always almost in the thick of it and you get to see some great sights. The crowds are brilliant and it's a really enjoyable race. So well done to all of the marshals, and I know there were loads of volunteers, a lot from Brighton Phoenix as well. So thanks to all of those for putting on a great race and making sure that everyone was happy. It was a really good event, and I'm looking forward to doing it next year. Okay, so let's talk about the kit I tested. The only thing I tested at the Brighton Half Marathon was the Saucony Endorphin Elite over half marathon distance. Now, I've raced in the Elite for 10k distance before, and I got a fast time. I got 38:30 when I did 10k. My PB is 38:18, and I had a cold at the time. I wasn't feeling very good. I wasn't trying to get a PB. I just wanted to go out fast. But what I found when I ran that race in the Elite is that it's a really fast shoe. It's the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 is my favourite carbon plate shoe that's ever been made. I did my Chicago time in the Pro 3 and a lot of my other races that I did around that time, as well as some of my faster training sessions. I love that shoe. It's just really natural, really comfortable, but has a nice turnover, a nice bit of bounce. Just a great shoe. I love it. If you watch the channel, you'll hear me talk about that shoe quite a lot. Now, the Elite I was very excited about when it came out. And because if it was better than the Pro 3, it was definitely going to be my favourite shoe. But what I've found about the Elite is that where the Pro 3 is a very comfortable, natural feeling shoe, the Elite is a very aggressive race shoe. It really feels like it's putting your foot into a position. It's a bit firmer. It just doesn't feel to me like a very natural shoe. And that's not a bad thing. If you're running an Elite level shoe, you kind of expect that you're not going to get full out comfort all the time. You've got to take a trade-off with it, and the Elite is that really. It's a lot more aggressive, and it's not really designed for comfort. I definitely wouldn't go for a slow, long run in this shoe just because it's not designed for that. It feels like it's trying to make you go faster. And when I ran that 10k in it, it was fast, but I didn't feel very comfortable in it. And by the end of the race, I was surprised to get the time I got, because I actually, when I was running in it, I was thinking I'm not really enjoying running this shoe as much as the Pro 3. But clearly it makes me run fast. So during this half marathon, it's the first time I'd ran a half marathon in it. I have ran a 16-mile training run quite slowly. Didn't really enjoy using it for this. It just wasn't designed for that. But the half marathon was the first time I've raced in the Elite at half marathon distance. And for the first 10k, I would say it felt great. I was really picking up the pace nicely. It was really nice turnover, felt very light, and just kept my legs moving along very, very nicely. But what I would say is when I got into that second half, so the last 11k, it just didn't feel very comfortable. It felt fast still. I could maintain the pace, but my feet just felt like they were just held in a position that just wasn't very comfortable. It felt a bit restrictive. Just felt like I wasn't running very naturally. And I towards the last bit of that race, in the last 4 or 5 kilometers, I really just didn't feel very comfortable in these. They just didn't feel very nice on the feet, and I don't think I want to go up to half marathon distance again in them. I definitely wouldn't do a marathon in them, just because I just didn't feel they're very comfortable. And for me, if you're running a half marathon and marathon, the shoe has got to be comfortable on your feet, because it's a long time to be running in a shoe. And I've ran in lots of different carbon plate shoes for half marathon, marathon distance, Vaporflies, Alpha Flies. Alpha Flies to me is a bit similar in that it's not the most comfortable shoe in the world. It's quite restrictive around certain areas of the feet, and there were times when I've ran a marathon in the Alpha Fly where I've thought, I wish I wasn't wearing these, because they sort of press against various bits of your feet. The Elite's similar to that. It's a very tightly fitting shoe. It just feels like it's holding your foot in a place that is not designed for comfort. It's designed to push it forwards and keep you going fast. And for me, I don't like that feeling. I'd much rather maybe lose a couple of seconds or 10 seconds and rather have a comfortable shoe on my feet than something that's really pushing me to go faster. But maybe if I hadn't been wearing this, I wouldn't have got that PB today, or maybe wouldn't have got as close to the time that I got today, because it did feel fast and it really did feel like it was tipping me over as I was running. But I would still go for the Pro 3 over this, or the Vaporfly, or the Alpha Fly if I was running half marathon or marathon distance, because this just feels a little bit too aggressive for me over that distance. Okay, that's it from me on my Brighton Half Marathon race test using the Elite. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell, all those sorts of things. And let us know in the comments if you also did the Brighton Half Marathon, because I've had a lot of comments from people telling me that they've done it and how they found the race. So it seems like it was a pretty big year for the Brighton Half Marathon. So yeah, leave us a comment if you did that and want to let us know what you thought of the Brighton Half Marathon. And don't forget, we've also got our monthly podcast. If you go into the caption, you can find the link to that podcast. It comes out at the end of each month, and the most recent one is all about running shoe rotations. So head over to that if you want something to listen to on your next run. Right, catch you later.